All right, let's get past this. We gotta move past this. This is bumming me out. Tell us an amusing anecdote about Dunkin' Donuts. That seems fun. No,
we didn't do our. Don't we need to?
We're not doing an intro. We're not getting into the intro until we get something good. This stuff
we're gonna edit this all out.
This sucks.
Okay.
All of this is literally a fucking late capitalist nightmare. Yeah, all we did.
So I should talk about Dunkin' Donuts.
But at least there's some degree of
personal connection to it.
At least we have warm memories of that.
Let's keep this. Let's try and do some.
What is everyone's favorite brand? Just in general.
To choose. I don't think I don't think I can.
I love all brands equally.
What do we think about brands on Twitter like being like really good comedy feeds?
Christ, it's the worst.
I don't spend enough time on Twitter.
Wait, Ashley, you know a lot about social media. This is bad, right? When like Whataburger's like fun and cool and taking shots at other brands and stuff like that.
I don't understand who did the shots fired at IHOB.
Everyone. I think everybody roasted.
There was a specific burger company that like changed something about their branding.
Wendy's cracked on them, I think.
It's probably Wendy's. Wendy's is notoriously
so corporations are fighting on Twitter now.
Yes.
Yeah, it is wild because I think like so there's presumably like young comedy interns writing these feeds. That's sad, right?
It's terrible.
I love that there are people out there that are like, yes, I just want to be a comedy writer, and they end up working for like a fast food chain that needs someone to come up with quips.
It's a job.
I would absolutely do it first of all.
But it is sad.
In the shortest of New York minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
In a New York second.
Somebody would send me the email, there'd be a Kyle-shaped cloud of dust as I rushed out to go get
Wendy
that job.
Thomas? Yeah, that would be her name.
Yep.
Well, I don't know.
Dave's girl.
She might have
Dave's girl.
Dave's daughter. I assume she owns it now. If you're listening, we will write your Twitter feed.
Yeah, we're
for less money than you're paying that intern.
Extremely available.
It is great though when they fuck it up. I mean, there are only a few brands who are doing that high wire act real well, and the rest of them are just like shooting for the moon and fucking it up.
Well, Wendy's, I think, like I say famously, like Twitter famously. Like there was like leaked internal documents from their social media team because there's this Twitter user @fart who is very funny and good. Shout out to John Hendren. He would like tweet at Wendy's, just like whatever, egging them on or whatever, and they would engage sometimes.
Oh, I think I did read some of these.
And there was like leaked internal documents where they would talk about, we gotta stop this dude. Like we have to bring him down because he's ruining our brand on Twitter. And it's like, what fucking world are we living in? This is hell.
What brand does everybody want to tear down, leverage their amazing comedic skills on Twitter and destroy? Come on.
That's a great question.
I mean,
I'm going any fast fashion outlet. Zara, your time is up.
Oh, Zara is doing really bad stuff.
Zara, you're fucked. You're ruining the planet. I'm coming for you with my quick wit.
That would be good. Zara's pretty bad.
I feel like I could tear down Old Navy. If we're going fast fashion.
See, I used to work for Old Navy, so I feel like a brand loyalty there because they were so good to me. Just kidding. Fuck Old Navy. Fuck Gap Inc.
If you're listening to this, go into an Old Navy store and throw just a little bit of water on all their clothes and watch the store disintegrate. The fucking most poorly made clothes in the world. It's like, these have just gone through the wash once. What is happening here?
Yeah. Also, they still do that flag tee thing. It's like, I don't have time for that patriotic bullshit. Get that out of my face. We're at war. We're at war, Old Navy, with ourselves.
I love that. That's a good note to go out on. We are definitely afraid of the dark. We are the scary movie podcast for people who are scared of everything. What's up, wet daddies?
Yeah.
To our guests, we haven't introed you yet, but we're calling all of our fans wet daddies.
Because it was Wadaddies.
It was Wadaddies for the acronym. It got misheard because acronyms don't translate well to spoken speech. So now we're just leaning hard into wet daddies. We're trying to get that hashtag popping off. I'm Steven Smith. I am scared of everything. With me,
I'm Emma Holder, and I'm more scared of more things.
Very true.
And I'm Kyle Romero, and I'm a big brave boy.
Excellent. We have a great guest today. I can't be genuine when I make eye contact, so I get bashful and laugh a little. I look away and laugh a little bit. Comedian, graphic designer, and most importantly of all, mom, Ashlee Pryor.
Yeah.
I don't do it as well as Kyle does.
Let's go around the horn and everybody do their air horn. Their best air horn impression.
No.
Or their best this blah. I can't do that.
Okay, I'll do air horn. Blah, 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 blah.
Pretty good. And do your blop.
That was good.
Those are very good.
He's our
was
resident
good.
Michael Winslow and horror Sherpa.
Just like alien noises.
Ashlee, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's another bright, sunny Saturday morning, so we're going to try to ruin the rest of your day by watching a horror movie.
It takes a lot more to ruin my day. I'm a real optimist.
All right, love it. Well, so I don't know what your relationship is with scary shit. Are you easily scared? Are you like more of an Emma and a Steven or a Kyle?
No, I'm not easily scared. I'm easily paranoid.
Ooh. Okay.
That's
So what,
my-
Very
how does
specific
that like
flavor on it.
manifest?
So I don't get, how do I put it? Like, especially in the context of watching scary movies, I'm not afraid of things. Like, I'm jumpy, but I'm the asshole that's like, this is so predictable. Let me tell you what's about to happen. But then I get really paranoid. So I'm also the person that I'm not just like let me look behind my shower curtain. I'm like, let me double check 8 times that my
Right.
doors are locked if I'm by myself.
Right.
What is my cat staring at into space?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then I genuinely believe that those things might happen to me.
Oh, yeah. How could you not let your imagination run away with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But especially because, like, genre-wise, I like, what are they called? Not slasher films, but like
Can you give me an example
like
of...
films where like people lurk in the shadows and like the movie The Strangers.
Oh, so like a home invasion type
Yeah,
thing.
like home invasion
Okay.
films. Those are kind of my favorites. Those. Oh, and then like psychological.
Psychological horror.
Everything that
thrillers,
terrifies us.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of my mind and people in masks.
Fair.
There was that period of time, I think we've like hinted at it before. We've never really watched one yet, but like where there was 3 or 4 years where everything was a home invasion movie where people just had sacks on their heads, like spooky, like knitted eye holes
Yeah.
and stuff like that. What the fuck?
Well, The Strangers, I think, kicked off the trend.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
it was like a pretty big hit.
Even just in that Batman movie where there was like the scarecrow guy
yeah,
who had
yeah.
like a sack face, that is the scariest kind of mask, I think, because it's shapeless. You
Yeah.
kind of can't see what's going on behind those
Just
eyes.
masks in general are terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't understand Greek theater and why they decided that was the way to go.
Yeah. Really spooked
do
him out.
they?
And they ruined everything for everyone.
I don't trust 14-year-old girls in theater camp who have a comedy and tragedy ceramic masks on their bedroom walls.
You walk in and tear it down.
I go,
Why are you?
not today, Jennifer. None of this bullshit. That was like a thing, right? When was everybody? You guys were
Yes.
80s kids,
no,
right?
that was definitely a thing for theater people to have. I did not have any
You
because
were
I thought they
cool.
were dumb.
Yeah, I was the theater person that was like, I'm not buying into that cliche. It didn't stop me from everyone gifting me like comedy and drama mask
Yeah.
keychains constantly.
Yes. I did have one on my charm bracelet when I was like 6 or 7
James Avery.
because I don't
Oh
know.
no,
what
that was the Christian South. Sorry, you were in New
no,
England.
You're godless.
I had a James Avery charm bracelet.
yeah.
mine was from
Saved.
D. Cole Jewelers in Portland, Maine, but
Shout out.
I doubt they made all their charms. I don't know who made their charms.
Ooh, let's not dig into that because
Yeah.
it will bum us out. Oh,
Anyway.
P.S. Before I forget, theater kids, you guys got a clove cigarette I can bum?
Oh yeah, I have several falling out of my pockets.
Did you guys ever smoke? Did anybody?
No,
ever?
I didn't,
Oh my
actually.
god.
Currently, still.
I smoked briefly when I was like 19
Yep.
because all of my friends were doing it.
Yeah, and you look so cool.
You do
Like-
look very cool. Like, there's no
It-
question.
It's true.
I do.
Ashley, you looked cool.
I smoked Camel Crushes because I like popping the little ball on the tip.
What?
You
Yeah.
can like pop the little ball to turn it into a menthol.
You don't have to. So it's an optional menthol. It's great if you smoke menthols, but your friends don't.
It's
Yeah.
like pop rock cigarettes.
That's exactly what it is.
Kind of.
I mean, really
But
tobacco industry really to good way to
Yeah.
hook those kids early,
just
like
wanna-
make it a
Pop
little
rock
funny.
cigarette.
Yeah, fun little game with my cigarette.
I do.
It's got a gusher inside.
I just want it on the record that I did smoke clove cigarettes very sporadically in high
what's up.
school. Like I would have like one a month.
Yeah. I did a few in college.
Oh,
I did a
yeah,
few cigarettes.
Once or twice did a cigarette when I was drinking, but it was all just performative. But I was leaning the opposite way. I was the kid who was like really into the Truth campaign. Like I was like, I fucking
Adbusters
hated
magazine.
cigarettes. I was like, this is gonna be my crusade. It's just
Wow, you were fun, huh?
yeah, I was a lot of fun.
I do feel like that sort of thing is like kind of a bygone thing because we're so media saturated now. Like every mentor I ever had in school was like, don't ever do like work for like these horrible corporations and stuff like that. And now we're like, Wendy's, get at me. I got 140 character genius ideas I'm ready to drop on you guys. And we're all compromised.
But
Yeah.
I actually started smoking in college. I started smoking Capri 120s.
Or is that
What?
thin
It's
little-
the thin, long,
Yeah.
skinny cigarette.
Ladies
I called them
stuff.
my Jackie O cigarettes.
This is
And
the most on-brand thing I've ever
Yeah.
heard you say, Emma.
cosplaying
most Emma
smoking.
thing.
it's
Yeah.
so
Most Emma
dumb.
thing.
I was 18, 19. But they were great because like no matter I'm asthmatic and like they honestly they weren't really like smoking. It was like you would have to drag so hard and not
Just to
even
get-
really get a
yeah.
full drag.
It's like trying to drink your coffee
So it
through
was
a
like
stir.
yeah, it was just like a little cigarette.
Yeah.
And I smoked those for a couple of years. And then I did start smoking regular cigarettes, like ultralights, for off and on for like 5 or 6 years. But I was never, it was always like because my friends were smoking, so I would smoke. But like
Right.
even when I lived with 3 smokers, I would have to see them going to the porch to smoke to be like, oh, I should have a cigarette. It's cigarette
Right.
time. Like I was really lucky I was never physically addicted.
Well, this like transitions us, I think, into like what's scaring you or what has scared you, because this is a thing. This is why I lean so hard into the Truth campaign thing, which is very funny and very
Way to bring that around. Cool kid.
I need to bring it back. But like I was terrified of cancer as a kid because both
you have a history?
Well, yeah, both my grandparents, who I'm not like blood related to, my mom was adopted. They both died of lung cancer, and they were smokers.
Yeah.
And my grandmother on my dad's side also was a smoker and died not like young, but like 70s, you know. So I was always like, no fucking way. And then I need to tell an insane story about my mom. Mom, I'm so sorry that I'm going to tell the story.
Do you think
but
your mom is
Does
listening?
your mom listen?
Probably not. Maybe.
What
She
is her
might-
first name?
She might listen. Her name's Martha.
What up, Martha?
Shout out to Martha. So this, my whole life, assumed my parents were non-smokers. Didn't know that my mom was a secret smoker.
Whoa.
My whole life,
Bathroom,
like, up until
waving
I
it
have
out
no
kinda
idea
thing?
how she did it, but up until I was like 13.
Wow.
So what happened was it was after my parents had gotten a divorce, and we were driving. My mom and me and my little brother were driving to Dallas to meet her then boyfriend. We were gonna have like a weekend where we would all hang out. And mom was driving, and I was in the passenger seat, and I was kind of like sleeping. And I've talked to my mom about this now, and she says she did this to like wake me up. And because she was like worried that she was falling asleep on the drive. And what she did was she was like, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to have a cigarette. And this was like right after my grandmother had died of lung cancer.
Questionable timing.
Questionable
Martha?
timing. Mom, I
Hey,
love
she
you.
needed to stay awake.
Yeah, she needed to stay awake.
Wait,
exactly.
They're a stimulant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also,
I didn't know.
she was going to have a yelling kid.
Exactly.
She had
Like,
2 stimulants.
I don't think she did it to like make me yell. I think she was just trying to like get me awake because I was like, whatever, I'm sleeping. And I freaked the fuck out.
Because
Like,
your
of
deep
course.
truth campaign.
Yeah, well, I was like, well, not at this point.
Did you wear a
but-
Dare shirt?
A what?
A Dare shirt?
No,
unironically?
I did not.
Kyle, are you a narc?
unironically wear a Dare shirt. I'm kind of a narc.
All right, shut it down, guys. We're at Kyle's place. We gotta leave. This fucking narc is gonna ruin this.
So yeah, she did that, and I freaked the hell out, and I was like, absolutely not. What are you talking about? Like, I had no clue. It's the first mention of it she'd ever said, and then we got to talking about it. She's like, yeah, I've smoked my entire life, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean that. I'm just wow. I wonder where and when she did it, or
Yeah, I
or
don't
if
know
you're
the
just super
logistics of-
oblivious. If this is something
I
we
probably
can
was just a
exploit.
dummy. I spent 85% of my time in my room playing PlayStation. So she did it then. Just stepped out of the back porch. I don't know.
She's like, I love an indoor kid.
Well, she hid it from
my
her
mom-
parents too. Like she was just like,
yeah, you learn that behavior and you just
My mom
like, do
smoked
it.
Right.
inside the house.
Ugh.
Yeah, people,
Like
that's-
not often. Like she didn't smoke regularly when I was a kid. She smoked socially. So like she would have someone over who smoked and they would sit at the coffee table
yeah.
and smoke cigarettes and drink coffee, which sounds really fun. But like it's just wild that it's not that long ago.
Yeah. I my best friend growing up, next door neighbor, why would I say his name? That would be insane. I'm not going to do that.
Joe Jonas.
Joe Jonas. He had a couple of brothers, real handsome, not very talented. But his parents both smoked, and to me, it's like it feels like a New England thing because they were all from New Hampshire, and so like I remember like his dad's New Hampshire accent explicitly when he would like scream at us, and he'd be like, "Robert, damn it!" Well, that sounded British. I'm not good at accents, anyway. But I do remember like this sort of kind of like fetishization of like all the stuff that you use to kind of like maintain your smoking lifestyle. Like I like bags and kind of like organizational things, and his mom always had this kind of like coin purse that had this like indent of her cigarette pack, and it was like really cool, and I'm like it just felt like a covetable thing. Like I'm like, I don't want to smoke, but I want like whatever that is in my life.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I've always been fascinated by like the like hard cigarette cases.
Yeah,
I was just about
Very
to say, when I briefly smoked cigarettes, mind you, I was like, this is like prime of Tumblr. I had an asymmetrical haircut.
Yes.
My hair is not made for asymmetrical haircuts. I wore suspenders.
No brands.
10 in the morning, I wore suspenders.
It's noon.
Cargo pants. Emma, it's early for me. But I totally carried my cigarettes in one of those like
Hard
little
cases.
hard
Oh, yeah.
It's
cigarette
cool.
cases. And
So
I
you could
felt
be like-
so cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was always such a hassle to put them in
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
It wasn't worth it.
No.
No one thought I looked cool or cute.
I bet
I bet
everybody
some-
your
yeah, I
age
bet
thought
some
you
No,
looked
people
cool as
people
fuck.
really did think it was
Yeah.
cool.
Because I'm sitting here thinking now, as a 32-year-old man, like that sounds cool as hell.
You're cool. All right, you're cool.
Smoking is cool.
Smoking's cool. I'm sorry, it's very cool.
From a sort of theatrical standpoint, I feel like you have to have smoked regularly to be able to convincingly mime it. Because every time I'm
Yeah.
on stage and I play somebody who's smoking, it's very like flourishy. I'm like, time to get out this cigarette. You know, like people are like, man, you look like an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, in college, I did a play where I had to smoke a joint, and I had no experience
narc.
with it. Again, I am a narc. And they had to like have a joint smoking class with me to like teach me how to do it. And I even still was just like, I don't know. It's weird. The paper's thin and stuff gets in your mouth. And I'm like, no, I can't do it.
College is wild, man.
Yeah.
You learn all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
Let's get into these movies, shall we?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so Ashlee, 3 movies. You've brought them to the table. Well, do you watch? So you do watch scary movies on the regs?
Yes, not as often as I used to because my fiance does not. He's not a big
He's not
scary
into it.
movie guy.
Oh, we got to get him on.
Yeah.
So
He
we
wa-
like the opposite side of the coin. We like the scaredy cats. too.
Yeah, we watch a lot of movies together.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then when I get to pick movies,
Uh-huh.
we do. We tried to do like 31 scary movies
Ooh.
in October.
Ooh.
Fuck
We
yeah.
did like 4 and then that was it. It didn't last
What's
very
the
long.
hardest kind of scariest thing that you can watch with him?
Ernest Scared Stupid.
That movie was too scary for me.
It's really scary, actually. I said it as a joke, but
I was literally like watching anything. So like watching Get Out was really hard just because I'm 100% the kind of, for everybody listening, I am half black, half Mexican. But I lean real hard into the fact that I'm black, especially when I'm in a room full of white people. But
Wait, like now?
no,
So like a hypothetical situation.
like just
So
like
like I don't know, like at the Austin Comedy Community.
yeah, something that would never
Just
happen
like-
here. And
rarely when I'm in Austin. But no, like watching stuff like that
Yeah.
is so hard because something will happen and it's not like scary, but I immediately like dive into like the background of it, and I like
Yeah.
stare him dead in the eye, and that's probably the worst kind of horror movie for us to watch together.
Hey, I think it's good. I think it's good for him to experience that
He
for any white
experiences it
man.
on a daily basis. No, we watch a lot of, outside of horror movies, we 100% watch a lot of like murder documentaries.
Oh, of course.
Oh, hell
yeah.
yeah.
A lot of like people murdering their spouses.
Yeah.
Did they do it and why?
But
And
there's
then
like-
again, I just stare at him in the eye.
How do they get away with it?
All that stuff's real, so it should
Yeah.
theoretically be scarier. But something
For
about it is
some
like
reason,
sanitized.
it's not.
Yeah, it's sort of okay.
I can handle it.
Yeah,
Yeah, now that I think about it, me and him are super into, like, we share a genuine interest in like serial
true
killer
crime,
culture.
serial killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, I like that stuff too, and it's weird. Like, I can watch that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I have seen Zodiac. I love it.
I was gonna
love
say,
Zodiac.
but Zodiac
Now-
is.
It scared
One of the
me.
scariest movies I've ever seen.
It definitely
Very scary, guys.
scared me for months and months,
Yeah.
and still scares me. I've seen it twice.
I love David Fincher, but I was like, it's just had on the shelf for years. I'm like, I don't think
You
I
haven't
can.
seen it.
No, I finally did,
Oh,
but
okay.
I was like, oof, because he's a very good. It's that thing that we talk about where it's like good
It's good.
filmmaking makes
Yeah.
it worse.
Yeah.
It's very terrifying. But anyway, sorry. Back to your story.
Have you and
But
Mason seen Zodiac together? Is
Yeah.
that like a thing? Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the. I don't think that was one of the ones that we decided to watch during the 4 movies we got through in October. But it was definitely on the list of movies that we, whenever we do our movie nights, it was on there. So we watched it together. And it's so funny because whenever we watch movies where I already know the backstory of the topic, I get like uninterested in an asshole way because I'm like, I already know what happens. Well, I already know that they're not gonna catch that guy. They never caught that guy. What I'm trying to say is I'm a bummer to watch movies with, guys.
Oh, just
you
wait.
came to the right
Just
place.
wait.
This is all we do. All we do is make it bad to watch
We
as a
talk
coping
the whole
mechanism.
time.
We talk the whole time.
Y'all are
Emma
my
will try to guess the
people.
plot.
Yeah.
Steven will nervously laugh through the entire thing. I will laugh at everyone for being scared of
Yeah.
stuff. It's
So
gonna
feel
be
free
great.
to let it
Yeah.
let the insults rip. Let's do the movie.
Let's do the movies.
So just tell us one at a time. Tell us what you picked, and then maybe a little bit about it or why you picked it.
Cool. So
Emma knows. Kyle and I don't know.
yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I picked Funny Games.
Oh,
Wait. The podcast is over.
it's
Okay,
canceled.
original or American remake?
American remake because it's on Netflix.
It's on-
Oh my god.
Look,
It's
if
gonna
I
be
had
one of
a
those.
choice,
It's gonna be one of those.
if I had a choice, it would be the side-by-side version that you can watch on YouTube that has both the original German and the remake.
Is
and
it
it's-
Psycho style, shot for shot? or-
Yeah, it's shot for shot.
Wow.
Oh, it's Haneke made
It's
it.
the same
Yeah.
director.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
he
okay.
remade his own movie.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's shot for shot. Oh my god, I've sat and watched the entire
Right.
version with
side.
both of them. Yeah, it's
Actually,
one
we
of my
don't
favorite
know
movies.
each other very well, but you're like a bad person. You're like a mean person. I don't want.
I described myself the other day to somebody. I was like, I genuinely think that I'm kind and I'm sweet. I was like, I can be one of the best people that you've ever met, but I could also ruin you if I need to. And I think that me telling you that that's one of my favorite movies is that's me
You came out
personified.
hard out of the gate.
Yeah,
number
that's-
one. All right,
that
let's
was
do
strong.
number. Let's do number.
Wow.
Well, they all get easier from there. The other,
Okay.
Yeah.
Scream
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
is one, just because
It's a classic.
It's
a
classic.
classic, yeah.
I want to say that it's one of the first horror movies that I saw growing up. My Aunt Danae was obsessed with Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Who
Oh,
isn't?
so she was probably wildly disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, meaning
So when
like
she got
we
Janet
just watched
Leigh.
everything with Drew Barrymore. But I remember watching that when I was really young with her and her daughter, my cousin Tatum. And yeah, it's just like good classic
It's great.
It's so
horror
good.
movie.
Yeah.
It's the perfect horror satire. It's exactly on point for all that stuff.
We've we've done like the holy trinity of slashers. We've now seen a Halloween, we've seen a Freddy, we've seen a Jason. Well, arguably. And so, our slasher vocabulary is now maybe, advanced enough to understand some of what's going on in Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do 3.
My third, which I'm so happy that me and Emma talked the other day about me coming up, or like me thinking about the movies, because I forgot this movie existed, and it's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life because it's so ridiculous. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, right? Or
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
And Jennifer
Love Hewitt, yeah.
The three name stars.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
the three name stars.
I forgot how
Jennifer Jason Leigh is also in it.
insanely magical that movie is.
yeah. I think I saw that in
I've
the
never seen it.
theater.
Wow, you did?
Yeah.
No, I avoided both of those. I mean, you guys know I've heard the plot of Scream.
Yeah.
Because it was so popular. I was like in 7th or 8th grade when it came out, and it was huge. So everyone was talking about it. So I made my best friends tell me the plot when they saw it.
And it fucked her up.
It did.
Ashley's
I
just like,
still,
Nerds.
I still don't like to go in public bathrooms with lots of stalls.
To be fair,
Is that a
to
Scream
this
thing?
day,
Is that Scream or
whenever-
Scream 2?
I think that's Scream 2.
I think it's Scream 2. When they're
I
at the
also
movie
had the plot
theater.
of Scream 2 told to me.
The whole saga.
That I can just dive into right now how ridiculous the murder scenes are in those movies. But the bathroom thing in Scream 2, to this day, whenever I go to, it's one of the draft houses. I don't remember which one it is, but it's like a dark bathroom and it's just like a long hall of
Yeah.
stalls. Every now and then, if I'm
Sophomore
in there
is
by
like that.
myself, I will like look under to
Yeah.
see if there's any other feet.
I do that every time I go to the bathroom if there aren't people in there. It's just a survival skill.
There's a rest stop on the way to Waco that has very, very short stalls. So you basically just like every time so you're just like trying to take a road shit, and there's like a stranger looking at you. So anyway, that's just an anecdote. Let's talk about these movies.
Yeah.
My opinion is, I think to me it's either Scream or Funny Games.
Yeah.
And Funny Games is one of those ones that's on the list, and I'm like, I don't even ever want to see that. But that's why it's kind of interesting to me as a kind of
it's
as a choice.
daytime.
Yeah.
To be
It is
fair, that
that-
doesn't make a difference
It's
with
that
that
weird
movie.
exploitative real thing, which is harder for me than like the fantasy. I think Scream would be interesting as a companion piece to Silence of the Lambs, because those were your kind
Those
of like
are my
biggest
two,
boogeyman.
my two big enemies. And Blair Witch, but that's never happening.
It's never happening. Okay. It's good.
I'm not watching it ever. I won't.
We'll see what happens.
No,
Somebody's going to bring Blair Witch,
I don't care.
then
Whatever.
the
Shadows,
And then the remake
and
of
the
Blair Witch.
remake.
Then fine, I'll watch. Wait, are those all?
They're all Blair Witch
They're all Blair
movies?
Witch properties.
If you do that, fuck you. You're not on the podcast. Anyway, I'm
watch
getting worried about
Paddington 2.
hypotheticals. I kind of think we should do Scream just because it's like been taunting me all my life, and like maybe
so
I need to see it.
Here's my perspective on it. I think definitely I Know What You Did Last Summer is right out. I haven't seen it in a very long time, so I can't judge quality on it, but I feel like it's a bit of a slasher deep cut. Maybe we're not ready to like dive into those yet. I'm curious to watch it. Like, that's probably the one I would pick out of these three, because like I haven't seen it so long and I definitely want to see it again. So Funny Games and Scream. Funny Games is not fun to watch
It sucks.
at all.
It'll ruin it.
It's very scary,
is
right?
Ashley's face, just
It
the
is
biggest
top
smile.
3 favorite movies. I hate how much I'm smiling at the thought of that movie in general. Not the thought of us watching it, just the thought of that movie in general.
Funny Games is fully a
It's-
movie my mom wouldn't know anything is about, and just based on the title alone,
Well, it
rent,
sounds
download
like
it, and
a
go,
sweet
oh, what
title."
is this? Oh no!
It's
It
just
sounds
two,
very
it's two
sweet.
wholesome white boys.
Michael Pitt, right? And then
Who
like,
is such a beautiful,
Oh,
like
he's a pretty-
cherubic
yeah.
person,
yeah.
and then
Beautiful.
doing demonic things.
It seems like we're leaning towards Scream. Am I wrong?
My vote's Scream.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick Scream.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Wait, you have not seen Scream, right, Emma?
No.
Okay, cool.
I've never seen any of these.
Yeah.
I have seen, okay, that's not true. I said this last night when we recorded. I have seen about 20 minutes of Scream with the sound off at the gym because someone had it on one of the TVs. And I have had the whole plot told to me in detail.
If you want us, we can mute it and set up an elliptical. If it just helps. Let's watch Scream.
I mean, that would be great. I need to get my steps into it. Yes.
Scream.
Scream. Ooh.
right, we're back.
Yeah, we
we
did
watched
it.
Scream. I do feel like just out of the gate, again, excellent choice.
Yeah.
I feel like this was weirdly well timed for us because they're watching Halloween in the movie. It's a movie we've seen. It's heavily referencing Friday the 13th. They keep talking about Silence of the Lambs because I think of when this movie came out versus that movie.
Yeah.
It comes up a lot. So like we got all the references.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That this only
It's probably
came out
a few years after
a
it.
couple of years after.
It's like the
so-
scariest
5
thing that had come
Yeah.
out, since this was made.
Wow.
This movie's great.
This movie rules.
I forgot
It's
how
funny.
good it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I forget. I mean, I remember it as being like scary and funny, but I would argue in some, it's give or take, but it's funnier than it is scary.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
a good
sure.
100%.
Yeah.
postmodern comedy.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely like they could have leaned a little bit in one direction and had it end up being
Right.
just a straight up comedy.
Right.
Downplay the scares a little bit.
Well, will you give us like a little bit of a history lesson and let us know like where this is in Wes Craven's career? Like what?
Yeah.
this comes
So at this point,
He's pulling up IMDb.
Kyle knows
Well-
1,000% more than we do about horror movies, but it's fun to rib him. It's fun to put him on the spot and then call him out.
yeah. Before we get this on wax, I just want to make sure I get like all the facts about Wes
What I
Craven
remember
correct.
while you're looking it up is like it was a big comeback.
Yes,
and
that's
that
how I
may
think
not
of
have
it as well.
actually been true, but it's what it was touted as
Right.
in the media.
Well, I
No,
think
it's
like you've
definitely
talked
true.
about it as this being something that his agreement was he would make this so that he could make his next movie.
Well, I don't think it was necessarily like an agreement they had ahead of time. I think it was just like because Scream was such a success, he had the cachet to make his not horror movie that he made after
Right.
this. So, he did Nightmare on Elm Street. That was 84. And then it's like not a ton, there's some really minor things like TV movies. He did Serpent and the Rainbow, which I actually hadn't seen.
No idea.
Shocker, which is pretty bad, but fun.
sounds
People
bad.
Under the Stairs.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
New Nightmare, which is his return. That was really his return to Freddy.
Uh-huh.
After Freddy had become Bugs Bunny, and he's like, "No, I'm coming back. I'm gonna make it scary again."
Yeah.
I watched it recently. It's not great. It's a fun idea because it's meta. And then Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy.
These all sound like joke titles.
Yeah, it sounds like movies that Tracy
Werewolf
Morgan
in London,
did in
Vampire in Brooklyn, Swamp Monster in Poughkeepsie.
I would, if you think I would not watch Swamp Monster in Poughkeepsie, you're wrong.
Have you seen Lake Placid?
Oh yeah, I have.
That's
I
a
have
Betty
too.
White
I
with the
did not like it.
yeah,
chomper.
Oliver Platt.
Yeah.
So Vampire in Brooklyn comes out. I think it's a bomb, and then Scream right after that.
Wow.
He was not necessarily the first choice. They talked to Sam Raimi. I know.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell.
I just liked your delivery. Like, Spider-Man.
I'm just helping where I can.
I love it, man. Well, this was like a cultural like force, though.
Yeah.
This was especially for
Yeah.
people, even though we have an age range in this room, it was very, like, I'm sure if we had been 25 when this came out, it may not have been as big a deal.
But if you were in middle school or high school, man, this shit
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
Or elementary school,
would
so
blew
it was
up,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, wait, what? I want to know how old I was when this came out. What year did this movie come out?
96.
96?
Yeah.
so were you even in school?
I was 5 years old.
God
This movie
damn it.
came out.
Okay.
Fucking hell.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll forgive
5
you.
years old.
How was everybody else? I was 10 when it came out.
I was
What year?
96.
I was 15. Yeah.
I was 13.
Okay.
So I mean, like for us in
Yeah.
particular,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
in that wheelhouse. And I do think that it's so funny watching this movie. So like, there's a scene in the very beginning where there's some like PG heavy petting between poor man's Johnny Depp and
Yeah.
Nev Campbell, Skeet Ulrich, and you said like this is the first time you remember becoming
Very
horny like in a movie.
Yeah.
This thing, there's something weird about this movie because people don't look great. The clothes are all ill-fitting, but it's like all this, like the way that Rose McGowan is dressed throughout this movie is like a very specific 90s style,
Mid 90s popular girl.
which is like when
Yeah.
I came into
this is-
became a man. So I'm like,
Steven throughout the entire movie was going humming.
I was like, the bauga, whatever my eyes are shaded at. But she's like really kind of,
She's
I'm
just
gonna
like
need a moment.
It's an insane
quintessential
costume.
hot girl.
Yeah.
And like, but for me, it brought up like, just like this lingering feeling of I don't want to call it nostalgia, but like middle school insecurity. Like just watching this, I was like, I'm back at being 13 and hating myself.
Well, and she's got like everything she says is written by like a very clever screenwriter. So she's well, okay. So her and Matthew Lillard in particular, like she's not hateful in the way that sometimes that archetype is. Like I
like her.
love her character.
She's great.
It's very sad when she dies, and he's not like the fucking. He's really charming. He's an asshole. He's irritating, but in a really winning way.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is Rose McGowan in this movie and Rose McGowan in Jawbreaker, to me, same character except the blonde one is likable.
Yeah.
But like watching her in this movie was very much like to this day, right now, I want to be that. I want the sex appeal that she has.
You said when we were watching it, you want to be that kind of bitch.
Yeah, she's the bitch that I want to be in life. That scene where they're walking, talking about the party, and she has like pigtails.
Right.
And I was like admiring her outfit the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's full on enjoying a lollipop at a locker while she's putting binders in her locker. It's like, what is this?
Yeah.
Right. But you know, because it is the 90s, it's like so drenched in kind of irony as well. So it's like that also kind of targets the way that my brain was wired because of what age I was in the 90s. I'm like, this movie makes me horny.
Yeah, it's an extremely horny
intellectually
movie.
as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's also
Let's
at
just
that
sit with
place
that.
that's like still super problematic, but has started talking about feminism.
Right.
And like how you shouldn't slut shame while still kind of doing it.
Right.
Which is a special fun time in American history to grow up and be gaslit by society.
Everything you watch. I think there's it's the problem with I would say the kind of winking, knowing irony of the entire movie, which is it's a commentary on itself, but it also sort of reinforces all of those ideas as well. It doesn't subvert them to the point of kind of obliterating them. It's like we're having a little bit of fun with this really established thing, but it's still a thing.
We know it is that thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting in comparison to Funny Games, which I always felt like is
why are we even
sorry to talk about it,
Steven? This is about.
Well, I think it's very appropriate comparison because Funny Games does that thing where it's like it's absolutely brutal and difficult to look at, and then there's the part of the movie where they turn to the camera and talk to you and tell you like, oh, why are you watching this? This is gross, and they rewind it and make you watch it again. And it's like it's the same thing. It's the same thing where it's like, oh, you're trying to make a statement about violence in movies and how whatever, blah blah blah. But it's like you're just one of those movies. Like that's all it is. It's the same thing with Scream. It's like, but I like it in Scream because it's people that are like good-hearted. They're not judging the thing. They're just saying
it's done with humor.
It's done with humor.
It is funny.
Yeah,
it's not spiteful. Like Funny Games is just a spiteful.
It's sort of like mean and nasty at its core. This is sort of like popcorn entertainment.
Yeah, we're just taking the piss out of it.
It's lighthearted murder.
It is. I mean, it
really is. Yeah.
I mean, to the point where there's a fake murder with corn syrup and he licks it. You know, like, and it's referencing movies. So it's like, I don't know. It's very self-referential and and ridiculous, but at the same time, it's fun.
Yeah. Let's talk about that opening, baby.
Oh man, all-timer. Drew motherfucking Barrymore.
And so we talk about this movie being a comeback for Wes Craven. In many ways, that's how it was
billed
pitched
as that
for her as well. Yeah.
And honestly, I think it kind of was.
Yeah,
like
it worked.
She made way more movies after this. I don't know if she had made. I was a huge Drew Barrymore fan, so I know. Like she made that movie. Boys on the Side.
Yeah.
That was way before this.
I think so.
And then she had Home Fries. But I think this might have been before that too.
But this movie made a ton of money
Yes.
And you know, I think like, you know, as a, you know, from a performer's perspective, like, do you want to be, it's one of the most memorable moments of the movie, so it's like kind of such a juicy role to have, even though it's so short-lived. It's no surprise.
I mean, she might have preferred to be Sydney.
Yeah.
So looking at this list, it's no question that this resulted in a renaissance for Drew Barrymore. I mean, 93, she was in the Amy Fisher Story and a cameo in Wayne's World 2. 94,
Hey,
like,
that's
barely nothing. No, I love Wayne's World 2. She was kind of like, again, another cameo in Batman Forever as one of Two-Face's dames.
But
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at this list too.
Head to head, who's gonna?
We're interpreting the list differently.
Who's gonna
Well, I'm
interpret the
saying
list better?
You haven't got. Okay, you say what you're gonna say, and
Hashtag
then
Kyle
I'll
got
add
it.
Yeah,
Hashtag
so I'm saying
Emma for
then-
the win.
then Scream happens in 96. You get an off year where the stuff you were filming before
has
it
to-
comes out. Then 98, Wedding Singer, Ever After, Home Fries, Never Been Kissed.
Oh, okay.
Pretty good run.
Yes,
that's
yeah.
right.
But
Pretty good run.
I do want to point out in 95, she was in Boys on the Side and Mad Love, which were big movies.
What
for
is Mad Love?
Mad Love is a movie with her and Chris O'Donnell, and she has she's bipolar, I think is what they call it. I don't know if it's actually what it is. You know, like
So mad is a pun.
I
'cause
no.
she's-
Like,
What I
crazy
mean
love.
is I don't know if they depicted it accurately.
Shocking. In
It
1995.
was
they
a
didn't-
romantic. I don't want to say comedy because I don't think it was funny at all.
Yeah.
Basically, like it's a love story, and she has a breakdown. But it was big for teen girls. I don't know if it was big in the. I guess it wasn't big. I had already
Never
been
heard
seeing
Never
it.
even
Okay.
heard of it.
And Boys on the Side was
Yeah.
won awards and was
Oh,
like
okay.
a big movie.
Wow.
But that being said, so she was starting to make a comeback, and and she was in
This-
Batman Forever, very small.
This was the comeback movie.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
the comeback. This was the tipping
This
point.
I would
versus Boys on the
say-
Side was the comeback movie. I gotta say.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, but I just want to say she had already established herself as working again.
The Drew Barrymore defender has logged on.
Well, so I think
She never went anywhere.
when it comes to sort of like, I mean, there are obviously scary moments throughout the rest of this movie, but it's just bookended by like these super, super memorable set pieces. And I think like for scariness, dollar for dollar, like that opening sequence it's
Yeah.
perfectly paced.
It's a short story.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, each
know?
successive call like gets like more
Freakier.
amplified and scarier. He gets angrier and angrier. Like
Well, and I was kind of surprised at how quickly it opens. I mean, the movie opens with her answering the phone.
Yeah, it's wild.
And right into it.
Yeah.
It's wild. That we jump right in. We're there.
did you ever babysit, Ashley?
Yes, I did. I babysat when I was in middle school, or maybe I was 15. I was 15, so like in high school. But yeah, I babysat for the Dickey family.
Shout out to the
Shout out to the Dickey family, who I ran into recently when I went back home. But yeah, they had two girls. I don't remember how old they were at the time, but they lived in a house. It wasn't like a secluded house, but they lived in a large house that
Lots of windows.
had lots of
window
windows,
treatments, just
had
like
the
this
really
movie.
big, had like the really big like back doors that had like the blinds on them. Too many hallways.
Yeah.
Too many hallways.
Lots of doors that
A
could
lot
just
of
fly open.
yeah. They like the entire like thinking about it. The entire house to me is like wood floors, like all of like the matching wood cabinets, the
Oh,
wood doors.
God, no.
So it felt really
A
dark
hunting
in
lodge.
there. Like it felt really
Yes.
dark in there, and when the lights were on, it was still like very like warm, like dark light. Yeah. Now that was a pretty spooky house, but when I was that age, I didn't really like it. Didn't register to me that I could get murdered at any point in time.
We are young. You're immortal.
Now I'm way more aware. Now I like walk outside. I'm like, ah.
I was very aware of that when I babysat because I am who I am.
You surprised me.
I know, shocker. And I babysat like I had a little side business going on. I guess I
A
didn't.
babysitter club, if you will.
Of one, yes. I was a babysitter's club of one. No, I would babysit like 3 or 4 nights a week
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was
Did you have
insane.
any hobbies?
What?
Did you have any hobbies?
Yeah, it sounds like
I did theater.
Babysitting.
I did theater, and I made money, so I could shop at Delia's. Honestly,
I guess you
Regional
can. I
department
guess you
store.
can have it all.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing: I didn't drive yet.
Yeah.
So, what else am I gonna do
Yeah,
on a
it's just
weeknight?
you're just crushing menthol capsules in your
I
cigarettes.
would
and working.
do homework and get paid. But
Do homework, get paid. That's how I do it.
Cash
the
Money
kids went to
Records, y'all. That classic.
No, but it was just it was so terrifying because I hadn't seen this movie, but I'd seen the previews and I knew what happened. She's actually not babysitting.
No.
That's what's it
No,
is.
that's
I mean,
just
yeah,
our
you're right.
house.
You're right.
But,
Yeah.
but I have thought my whole life she
That
was
she's-
babysitting.
Well,
the babysitter
you're
is the trope.
conflating it with When a Stranger Calls, which is the calls coming from inside the house.
That's Camilla Bell, right?
The actress.
Yeah.
It's Carol Kane.
Was there a remake?
Oh, probably a remake
Oh
because
yeah,
Camilla
there's
Bell's
probably,
Camilla Bell.
Yeah,
in her
yeah,
20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is a movie from the 70s.
She
so.
dated Joe Jonas. Coming back around.
Well, I feel
My neighbor?
100 now.
There was definitely a remake with Camilla Bell.
Yeah, there was a remake for sure.
But this movie, in my mind, she was babysitting. Well, it's the same thing. Alone in a house at
Yeah,
night.
Yeah.
and there's a stranger calling.
And
Yeah.
it's so creepy.
Have you guys ever had somebody sneak into your bedroom for booty call or vice
No,
versa?
absolutely
Yes,
not.
100%.
That would not have worked at either of the houses I lived in
Right,
as
because
a teenager.
there's no trellis or
Yeah, there's nothing
To
you.
climb.
You would have to be able to be a vampire and
just to
fly.
rise.
Float, yeah.
Let me in,
Which
let me
David Arquette does in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the point in the movie where I made my family turn it off.
Oh, it's good. It's a good one. Yeah.
I like your family gathering around to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
I mean, we had just rented it.
Yeah.
Luke Perry was in it. I love Luke Perry. And then, 20, 30 minutes in, was like, nope,
Nope,
we
we're
can't
done.
watch it anymore. And not only can you all not continue to watch it, we must watch something else. So my sister was pissed.
Ashley, when you snuck or were snucked,
We're
did you go, ah? Did you pop into frame?
Yeah, I it was a scary turned sexy sneak in, such as the one in Scream. No, it was always a very I never snuck into somebody's house or had
Right.
somebody sneak in, unknowingly.
Yeah, it had to be planned.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've seen in the movie he's just
You would
He's like,
because then you would just go, ah, push them off the.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
What-
it
Or you
was
wouldn't be
always
home.
planned.
Yeah, exactly. I think, he sneaks into, he pops into frame 17 times in this movie, conservative
a lot.
estimate.
Every
Pop it.
time
always a
he is-
sting
yes.
too.
Yeah.
Wow! The soundtrack just blasts you.
Even when they show him that scene where they're at the video store, I feel like even then
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
wow, what's he doing here?
What do we think about Skeet Ulrich? Poor man's Johnny Depp.
I think he's so creepy.
I think he needs to cut that hair. Get a haircut,
He
my
needs
man.
to wash that.
Yeah, wash
Wash
that
it
hair.
and cut it.
I mean, that was the look. I'm sure they put stuff in it to make it look
So
even
much
grosser.
stuff.
He just looks extremely wet this whole movie.
I mean, that was hot though. I was so into him as a teenager.
sure.
He looks like he did it the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Immediately,
looks
Because
guilty.
he always looks a little sallow and sweaty, like he just got back from, he just ran here from the killing that he
Yeah.
just did.
Yeah.
He looks sweaty, like
and
dirty.
a little heroin chic,
Yeah,
Oh,
a little
so
bit. 90s.
very-
yes.
90s.
very popular, and he
Yeah.
still kind of has the same look.
Wait, you guys said he's in.
He's in Riverdale.
Riverdale?
He plays Jughead's dad, and he still looks dangerous.
I missed when you said that. I think I was in the bathroom when you had originally
yeah.
said that. And so now that you're he plays Jughead's dad, I'm like, oh, okay.
Duh.
Yes.
You didn't
Yeah.
realize that? Whoa.
Yes. No, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
that's Skeet Ulrich.
Yeah.
he has shorter hair.
He's hot.
He's still hot.
He's still so hot. Because I was going to mention that, yes, he looks like a killer. His hair was real gross. But this entire time we were watching the movie,
He's
I was
also very
he's so
attractive.
hot.
Well, and then comparatively, it is so we were talking about this cast just generally, the writing is amazing, the sort of conceit is really great, but the cast is so good.
Really good.
There's no
Yes.
dead weight. Even the
Yeah.
character set pieces, Henry Winkler is amazing. Anybody who's like doing small pieces,
The sheriff.
like
Yeah.
they're all selling
all
the fuck
awesome.
out of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
comedically and just sort of like for the drama of it. But I would say that like he's pretty much the only person, I guess he and Rose McGowan are the only people who are in this who are like hot in that sort of like slasher way where we're like, they're
Yeah.
like
They're
pieces of meat.
classically, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I have always thought, and this is just me, I've always thought Matthew Lillard
Oh no, he's very
was
cute.
so hot.
But this is, you're looking at it through a personality lens. He's more
No, that's what
attractive
it is.
because
I'm
he's
like,
funny.
Yeah.
I would date him. Actually, no, he'd probably get really annoying really
fast. So
Yeah,
fast.
I
he
mean-
would have so many bits that were not funny.
Wait, no, have you
Were
met
just
my fiance?
big.
I mean, obviously everybody in the movie's very beautiful except for Jamie Kennedy.
I also had a thing for Jamie
Yeah, he was actually a
Kennedy.
bit of a
He
low-key
looked fine, he's
heartthrob.
fine. Yeah, he's just, he's-
But also didn't he date Jennifer Love Hewitt for
Probably.
Yeah, I
a
think
long
so.
time?
He did.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
sorry,
Someone
Jamie
likes
Kennedy.
it.
Damn.
JLH needs to
Well, I mean,
shoot higher.
we already talked about like how horny this movie made me as a young 10-year-old. But like Neve Campbell, like,
Oh yeah.
come on, holy shit. No?
Yeah, no.
She's fine.
Yeah.
Guys, what are you
I
talking
mean,
about?
I feel like she's cast in this because she's beautiful, but she's also
Like
she's
Girl Next Door.
playing in a way that is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
she's this character.
Clearly she's
This is
beautiful.
crazy that we're talking. We're like, Neve Campbell. I wouldn't get out of bed. We're like, but I mean,
I mean, the hair though, those bangs.
The bangs
yeah,
are-
the
Oh my
bangs
God.
are very...
It's so wild. All the hair.
I
All
love the
hair.
Thank you. Juxtaposition.
We'll edit it out. We'll
It's
edit
still
it
10 in the morning. Between her and Rose McGowan.
Yeah.
Because it's like one is clearly the virgin and one clearly isn't.
Yeah.
But also, they don't play it like... They don't make a huge deal out of it.
No,
Like,
not
even
at
though the
all.
movie makes the point of like, oh, you'll die if you're not a virgin. Like, Rose McGowan's character is just like...
she never has sex in the movie though.
No,
Yeah,
and
the
they never,
implication, yeah.
And that's the thing. She never has sex in the movie, and they're never like, oh, this sexual character,
Right.
It's just something you know about her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because she's got a crop top.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a
And a
crop
wig.
top,
And
the
boobs.
lollipop.
Yeah.
She's got the lollipop. You see her nipples through her shirt.
You really see her nipples.
Yeah, but no, the fact that Neve Campbell's character is like, I feel like she's in a turtleneck at a certain point in the movie.
Well, she and Drew Barrymore are both dressed like 35-year-old moms.
Just-
Yeah.
Like that is the fashion.
But that's
for
that
them.
look though. It's like all earth tones, all ribbed clothes, a lot
that
of weird
was the
synthetic
thing.
fibers too. Like
Steven
hot
pointed out that
clothes.
most of the
Like,
shirts in this movie are ribbed.
Dressing,
Yeah, men and
you
women
either
alike.
dressed like Empire Records or you dressed like you were a realtor.
Yeah, and they're all rich,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they're sort
Yeah,
of
they're
like
all super rich.
dressing to their income bracket.
Yeah.
I guess. Jamie Kennedy. So he's like I don't really know. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is of the slasher movies we watched so far, and maybe that's just the layer of irony of this movie. But like, do a lot of the other major tentpole horror movies have that clear audience alias or signifier who's
No.
like he's supposed to be us in that context?
No.
That's
horror-
a new thing?
Yeah,
Or-
it was a new invention here.
Yeah.
Because no one had ever commented on what was happening
What
in the
you're
movie.
watching. Got it.
So there was no need to have that character that was like the audience surrogate. I mean, the audience surrogate before that was like the final girl. It was like you relate to her. It would have been Neve Campbell,
Right.
which we relate to, you know.
Or
I
Courtney
mean,
Cox.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the final girls.
Yeah.
Or should we say women?
Yeah, final women.
I still want to know how old Courtney Cox's character was supposed
I mean,
to be
I think
in
she's
this
supposed to
movie.
be late 20s.
Late
She was
20s.
at
Yeah.
a teenage
30s.
party.
Yeah.
It was so strange.
She shouldn't be at that party, but
Yeah.
she got to get the story.
Her conservative age 28. Her lipstick style or whatever definitely 42.
The lipstick in this movie
Yeah.
is buck fucking wild.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of looks.
But
Just liner?
that was
That's
what
liner?
it was.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like,
No, it's period accurate.
But again, it's the thing where you're watching it and you're like, that's kind of gross. It looks bad, but you're also like, I'm weirdly like, what my lizard pervert, my teenage brain is like, that's what it all looked like then.
Remember when you were masturbating 7 times a day? That's what lipstick looked like.
Mom, don't come in, lip liner. Yeah. It was a dark time. But wait, so Ashlee, you are younger than us. So how old do you think you were when you saw this?
I was probably like 7 when I saw this.
You guys who are telling me these stories of people who are like in the single digits watching really scary stuff, I'm like, how did you not have a full breakdown?
I grew up watching Tales of the Crypt.
Okay.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Really little. Just like that's something my parents watched, so it's just something
It was
I
on.
did.
It was on.
Yeah, it was just on.
Well, that's how it is.
That was me
You
with
guys-
X-Files.
You guys learned young to not
Yeah.
be scared of this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I got older, it was kind of like a rebellion thing. Like my parents didn't really watch horror movies. Like they liked creepy stuff, but didn't really watch horror movies. And so it was my thing. Like when I was in middle school, when I was in 6th grade, me and my friend Jasmine would go rent a bunch of horror movies and watch them in her room until like the sun came up, and that was just the thing we did. And then I would like never tell my parents that I watched these. I remember to this day, the most like shameful horror movie I watched, and I was like, oh, I have to tell my mom, is Ghost Ship, because of that scene.
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
I've never seen
I
it.
actually have never seen
Tell us
Ghost
the
Ship
Oh my
either.
god, no, there's just a scene where it's like this like ghost woman, but she like undresses and you just see like her
ghost
nude
tatties.
body.
Ghost
Yeah,
pussy?
like
Frontal.
ghost titties. But I remember it was one thing for me to watch horror movies, but it was another thing for me to like watch like horror movies where people are gonna have sex.
Yeah.
See, yeah, if I was
Yeah.
going to sneak something, it was going to be something moderately sexy.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
not going to be something scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents did not mind me watching Scream when I was 10 or 11, because remember we had like the VHS tape. But when they watched Wild Things, they sent me to the other room and were like, "You
Ooh, I
can't
saw
see."
that in the
My
theaters.
friends and I, we saw it in the theater.
We had to
and
sneak in.
It was pretty tight. I remember, again, it's that 90s thing. Yeah. All right, so
Guys, Steven
We
has
divulged too
a
much.
massive erection right now.
Please.
I think the love affair between David Arquette and Courtney Cox in this movie is very sweet.
I think it's very sweet.
Yeah.
It plays.
It is.
Yeah.
His line, I think we could talk about like our favorite lines in the movie, but the line where she talks about her demos 18 and 24, and he goes, "I'm
that was
25. I was 24 for a whole year."
So sweet.
So charming and
I think-
so sweet.
And he, Matthew Lillard, is obviously this like outsized comedic personality,
Yeah.
just like
Oh,
very
yeah.
physical, very like doing all these, probably improvising a lot of that, I would
Probably,
imagine. But David Arquette, low key,
Yeah.
comic genius. Scene with him and the police chief where he's got the ice cream cone and
It's
he's
so
mimicking
good.
sort of
Matching the chief
cigarette. We
smoking.
talked about
Yeah.
cigarette smoking. Yeah.
Oh my
we
god.
have to talk about the hat.
Oh
talk
yes,
about the hat
we have to
on
talk
his-
about the hat.
Oh, the boob hat.
It says boob inspector.
So you learn something new every time you watch one of these movies. This is why it's such a rewatchable movie. There's so much. There's a trucker hat that Dewey has hanging off the side of his monitor.
Is it his desk?
It is.
Yeah,
It
it
has
is
to be his
absolutely
desk.
his
It's
desk.
Sydney sitting next to it.
And it has a felt. It looks like a Make America Great Again hat.
It does.
but it's got a felt pair of titties on it, and it says "Boob Inspector" in a big, goofy font.
Like, what's great about that is it's not even like a pun. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
FBI,
Yeah.
federal
It's
body,
just,
female body
you know,
inspector.
dress for the job you want. You know what I mean?
It's just full-on boob inspector.
It's not a gag. It's like practical.
Yeah.
He's like puts it on, and that's
Right.
how he feels.
That's how
breasts.
he you know, he's trying to earn the respect of his colleagues. You
and
know, he's-
women.
Yeah,
It would
exactly.
definitely not alienate a woman to have
like,
a conversation with them in that hat.
Hey guys, I got a promotion. Whoa, Dewey, boob inspector, nice.
My
Congrats,
man,
bud.
up top.
Say I'm a detective of sorts.
the sort of thinking about how that comes to pass though, because like definitely nobody ever sees that when they watch that movie the first
No.
20 times.
No.
So that is I just like to see somebody who's working a trade on a film set and it's like, you know, I'm one for me, you know, I'm just gonna throw one on the side of the monitor, you know, just out of focus.
And they're so excited when it makes it into the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's Wes Craven's
He's got a
personal hat, and he decided to put it in there.
He's expressing a little bit of a sense of humor in this, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like his other movies aren't like super funny.
that scene with Henry Winkler when he's like
Oh, yeah.
dressing down the two pranksters and
Yeah.
and they're like obviously trying to make us misdirect, make us think he's a killer, and he's like slashing, and there's all these sound effects with those huge scissors. I mean, it's very funny.
Well, also his cameo in the movie
Yes.
is very funny.
Wearing a Freddy sweater.
He's wearing a Freddy. His name is Freddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fred
Or
the janitor.
Fred. Yeah,
Fred
Fred
the
the janitor. Yeah, that is so. That's beautiful.
There's also that great like throwaway line that Henry Winkler says over like the school PA, where he's like, "I'm your principal and I love you," or your principal, remember your principal loves you. It's just like
So funny.
I think that I don't know how you could. I guess. Well, of course you can, because people are still making straight on horror movies. But this is, to me, is such a delicious combination of like multiple sort of like genres and styles, where it's like you can have, and then like a really intricately plotted whodunit too. I mean, if we didn't, we've all seen it in some regard. Like you knew.
I was told the plot. Yeah.
So obviously, like it wasn't a surprise this time around when we watched it. But I do remember seeing it for the first time and being like, shook, like, what?
Well,
I
I
did
feel
not
like
see it coming.
Slasher movies before this, there wasn't a lot of whodunit to them.
Oh, okay.
It was
Like-
more like
We knew who did it. It's
we
the
never
just
killer.
kind of
the
know
killer.
who did it. Yeah,
Yeah.
either you never see the killer, or like it's just you meet them and you're like, okay, what? Like in Friday the 13th, there's a meta thing that goes on where they kept making more, and it was Jason. So when you watch the first one, you think, okay, it's Jason, but it's not. It's his mom. But in the movie itself, it's not really a whodunit. It's just like, you know, it's a surprise when it's the mom, but it's not a huge deal. Black Christmas, which we talked about some when we were watching Friday the 13th, is kind of a whodunit. It's like, which of these people did it? But it doesn't lean into it hard at all. This is like a full-on like murder mystery.
But I like that better because it gives me something active to think about.
Yeah.
Besides just like fear.
There's this interesting point where we kind of like made eye contact, because we're on the side of like, we want a killer that has a motive.
Yeah.
And then Skeet Ulrich says like, no, the killer never it's scarier that way if they don't have a motive.
I
And
disagree.
then we disagree. And then of
Wow,
course
really?
the character divulges his motive. So I would argue that like Wes Craven agrees with us, or Kevin Williamson does, or something, because he says that and then immediately undercuts it by explaining why he did all of it.
Yeah.
And the motivation is rich and interesting versus just he's psycho.
I would argue that it's kind of flimsy.
I don't know. I think it's set up well in the beginning.
It's set up well, but I think it's kind of like, so he dates this girl for 2 years so he can go on a killing spree. Like, I would actually be interested in watching a movie that's just a buddy movie about Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich and how they come to the decision to do this. Like, did y'all ever see that creepy Australian movie with Kate Winslet? Where she and the other girl
Heavenly
kill
Creatures,
someone.
Beautiful Creatures, something like that.
Heavenly Creatures.
Okay.
That kind of movie where it's like, how do you get someone to kill someone with you?
How do you agree that you're on the same page?
yeah.
Well, because Lillard too is like just nuts.
He's just in it for the laughs.
He's
crazy.
Like,
So-
he's just crazy.
Watching it this time, a couple things struck me about their relationship. One, is there a reading of this movie as this being
Were
a
there
queer
lovers?
relationship?
Well, see, I couldn't stop thinking about Scary Movie, because in Scary Movie, when they parody this,
Right.
the two friends that are killing everybody, they're in a gay relationship.
To me, that
Which
feels
is a
like
shitty, offensive.
It's very offensive, but I'm an asshole, guys.
No,
I
no,
could
you're
stop
not.
thinking
Saying
about
The
Scary
Wayans
Movie.
brothers are
You
assholes.
didn't make the movie.
I couldn't stop thinking about Scary
Yeah.
Movie while watching this movie.
I feel like that's gay panic. That's like 20
Yeah.
years looking back and trying to like, I mean, 'cause it's us putting like an academic context on what is flimsy at best. It's because then we're like, well, technically it's a penetrative act when they stab each other. So they
Right.
actually, okay, we could start doing all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
rationalizations.
Yeah.
It feels like there's an interesting shot at one point in time where they're like both in the frame, and that's just good like shot composition, and it's good. And I mean, feel free
That's
to
the
disagree.
no.
but it
I
feels
think-
like
I think you're right.
bridge too
That's the
far.
only textual, like possibility, evidence of that happening. But I think certainly there's an academic case to be made that.
Or
that's
at
what's
the
going
best,
on.
we could say Lillard is in some way infatuated with Skeet Ulrich, and so that is why he's compelled to do it. But again, it's like that is a text applied to it. That's not what the movie is telling us. I feel like we're putting that on it.
Yeah. I see it.
All
I
right,
see it
film
as like.
we yes and really well on this podcast.
Well, we're just telling the truth. This isn't. We don't have to yes and. No, but I do think
you just refuse to yes and my comment about yes and.
This is an ongoing
because
struggle
I'm
between
saying
these two.
We're not doing an improv show.
This is
Okay.
a tightly scripted podcast.
But here is my thought. I think what's interesting is like, would Matthew Lillard have like, is Skeet Ulrich just manipulating him?
yeah,
Yes.
totally.
Right?
think
He's the
so.
boss.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's Big Dog, Little Dog.
That's
And
why
yeah.
he gets multiple stab
It's
wounds.
Erica
and he just gets the
Dillon
one. Yeah.
from Columbine. Like,
Yeah.
that's another thing that popped in my
Is
head.
one of
like,
them I don't know enough about
This
them.
predates that, though.
Yeah, it predates that,
yeah.
so that's why it was so interesting to me.
That's so weird to think about.
It is
Right.
weird.
And that was a huge fear. I was going to bring this up. When this movie came out, people took it literally and were like, oh my God, people are going to start.
Well, and
There was
it's-
like a panic
and
about
it's
like
commenting on that
copycat
sort of
killers and like
paranoia.
how that stuff is going to happen.
and particularly like how media makes like killers and stuff like that. I mean, I feel like 99 was that in 99 was Columbine, and I remember all of my friends being like, we just made it, because everyone's like, oh, this will just be isolated to high schools, right?
Right, yeah.
No way this breaks large into the culture and everything basically disintegrates around
Yeah.
us. But that idea in the 90s in particular, I guess
Was
it's always
very
been a
big.
thing, but it's like movies are ruining the generation, video games are too violent,
Tipper gore,
music is
music,
bad.
we can't listen to it.
And so this does have a little bit of fun at the expense of that kind of
Yeah.
conservative mentality, but
But then people earnestly reacted to that and were like, oh no, people are going to copy Scream.
yeah.
Well, so I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is an
no.
unsolved murder, and it's the Scream murder.
What?
Yeah, it's a Scream murder. It's a girl that was alone in her house whose boyfriend was coming to see her. Got her parents found her in her house, and it was just like
That opening scene.
just like
Wow.
the opening scene.
Wow.
That's
It can
And it happened
happen
after?
to you.
It happened way after. Yeah, it
Yeah.
happened
Wow.
way after.
I mean, I think, we don't need to get into what all of our personal theories are about culture sort of shaping
Yeah.
violent acts, but it's like, that person would have done something bad anyway.
Oh,
Right.
for sure.
Whatever
Oh,
they-
100%.
The manner of the crime, maybe
Yeah.
they were inspired by, but
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh well, they say in the movie, right? Like movies don't make psychopaths. Movies make psychopaths more creative.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
also think it was interesting that like this is set in not just suburban America, but like picturesque wine country,
Yeah.
upper middle class to upper class
Yeah.
white America.
Yeah.
Like, and they kind of bring that up in the very end when she's on doing her newscast. She's like, all these murders happening in this idyllic place where people like left the bustling city to get away from this. So it's like kind of talking about white flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
like-
we don't really ever talk about class on this, and I think it's just because like we haven't watched any movies that sort of directly confront that idea. But for the most part, I mean, it's a trope, but it is always suburbs in these slasher
Yeah.
movies, and they're Tony, right? I mean, like people
Yeah.
have money. We came close. Maybe the closest we came is Candyman, and we didn't choose that one.
Right.
But I think. Like we need somebody who's like more qualified and has more degrees than us to help us like unpack the sort of like class-based
we can do it.
implications.
I think it's
Let's
fine.
wing it.
Yeah, let's wing it.
But I mean, if you think about this movie as like a potential revenge fantasy, I mean, it's like doesn't it make it a little more palatable to watch rich people get killed?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think Kevin Williamson probably had. It's set in wine country for a reason, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's sort of like heightening that suburban thing that horror movies were doing before, like Halloween, Haddonfield suburbs. But this is now like even more. You've gone further out.
Right.
You're literally, and it says it in the beginning of the movie. The killer says, "Go ahead, call the cops. We're in the middle of nowhere."
They'll
Yeah.
never get here in time.
So I think that's all certainly intentional.
Right. And also just because like it was the 90s and rich people wore a lot of beige, and so like beige is the best canvas for splatter.
Yeah, it's true.
Seriously, that opening scene, the house is all white on the inside. Drew Barrymore's hair matches the very powdered tone of her face.
Yeah, full camouflage.
She's
Yeah.
wearing all beige, and then she's wearing the darkest burgundy lipstick.
She's just a
And
floating
she is
pair of
a
lips.
very, very pale woman, and they
Yeah.
put her in this like she's literally like ghost white.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's seriously, it's like the only things that are colored in those scenes are blood and her lipstick.
What do you think? Because like wigs, when they're particularly bad wigs, you're like wig. Like when you watch a movie.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like,
I never know.
Okay.
I never know. I'm sorry to
It has to be
interrupt.
bad for me to know.
I'm a moron. I never know.
But this, you see this and you're like, Drew Barrymore's wearing a wig.
I
Nope.
think that was a wig.
I
Oh,
did
it's
not.
totally a wig.
It did,
It's a wig.
now that you say that it's a
Yeah.
wig, of course it's a wig.
Right.
But
But I
I
had to
have
think about
never, not once, been watching a movie and thought that person's wearing a
Okay,
wig.
but you've seen The Americans
Yes. Well, that's different
because you see their regular hair and then you
Yeah.
see
see
their
them
wig
take
hair,
the
yeah.
wig off. Yeah, like
Yeah.
So you do believe in wigs.
I believe that there are wigs out there.
Kyle's a classic wig denier. He's like false flag every time somebody wears a wig in a movie.
The mainstream media wants you to believe that you can have a different hair color and style, all without dyeing it or cutting it.
I just think she looks like, from a styling standpoint, she looks so wiggy. And so it's like, oh, that's a choice. They want her to look like, is it a referential thing or it's like a throwback or like she's supposed to look? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the horror history of wigs because
think
again,
it's
I
just-
have I have wig
I
blindness.
don't
think so.
I don't think it's supposed to look that bad.
I have no
I
wig
think
dar.
But
It's
it
just-
looks so bad.
It does, but it's like very clean and
Straw.
like I honestly like I didn't know it was a wig growing up. I never thought about it.
Yeah, I would say the same.
And it took me a minute watching to be like, oh, because I was like, how'd they get her? Oh, it's a wig.
Because, like, Rose McGowan's hair in this movie looks like it could also be a wig.
Yeah.
But then I think about
could
her
just
hair
be
being different
straightened
colors
hair.
in other
Yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
and it still looks just like that, just a different color,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
made me think, oh, I don't think this is a wig.
I need to tell an anecdote about a store I saw once. It was a wig store, and I swear to God, this is true. It was called "Shh, It's a Wig."
I mean, they know their demo. They know the sort of. Do we want to do some favorites from this movie?
Yeah, favorite
Do
moments.
you want to do favorite kills?
favorite kills? Let's do favorite kills.
I got
Okay.
one. So I would just say, like, because it is particularly, I think my favorite character in this movie is Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
We've already talked about why. No, but I think she's great, and I think her kill is particularly like it's pitiful, right? Like when somebody's basically just struggling to get away.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you have not seen this movie, I would say definitely go out and see this, particularly if you're
Oh,
scared.
yeah.
But she's trapped inside of a garage with the killer, and I. You know, she's defending herself. The killers keep taking a beating from everybody who they try to kill, but she gets some particularly satisfying shots in which she whips beer bottles at his nards and face, and they like explode. And then she tries to scurry away. Can't get go through like basically a dog door in a like a garage door that goes up and down. It gets stuck halfway. The killer basically hits a button, and then she gets lifted to the edge of the garage door frame and kind of gets her neck broken, or like it kind of smashes into her face.
Yeah.
And I think like the slut shaming in the older versions of these kinds of movies are like weaponized to make us not like that archetype. They don't ever do it in this movie.
Yeah.
She's totally likable. She's
Yeah.
very supportive of her friend,
Yeah.
even though she says some indelicate things.
Yeah, no,
Right.
But
she wants to be a good friend.
she wants to be a
She's
good
trying.
friend.
Yeah.
She's not leaving her to go fuck her boyfriend left and right. And so it's like Rose McGowan's character, what was her name? Topi?
Tatum.
Topi?
Topi.
I got confused because
Her
it's
Toupee.
friend
so
Topo
Toupee.
Chico.
Wait, what was the name?
Tatum.
Tatum. Of
my
course.
cousin's name.
Of course. Tatum deserved better. It was a great kill, and it
Yeah.
made me sad.
Yeah, I did not like her dying. I didn't want her to die. But it might be my favorite just because I remember it being described to me in great detail. And I remember my friend explaining that like it looked really fake when her head got squished.
It didn't look that bad.
I don't know.
It looks so fake.
It looked pretty good.
It looks
yeah,
pretty
well,
fake.
I mean,
Well, it's a
we
quick
know
cut
it's
of like
fake.
just
It's a
something
quick cut.
pushing into
Yeah.
it. and
Yeah,
then
it's edited well, and I think it's a good effect. I mean, it's not like convincing, but it looks good.
a lot of the stabbing in this looks pretty fake. When when Sydney impales Skeet Ulrich with that umbrella,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks a little wonky.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Sorry. So other favorite kills.
So it's that definitely. Although I was struck by just how sad it is when Drew Barrymore's parents are like in the house listening to her die. Like that's horrific.
That's a mean-spirited one.
That's a mean one.
It's very gross and sad and like upsetting.
yeah.
That entire time, my brain kept yelling, like, just look over, just look
Yeah.
over,
Right.
because she's literally right
Stone's
there,
throw.
and they're just like not looking to the side.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So just to pro tip: if you're going home, you live in the middle of nowhere, just be sure to like check your 3 and your 9.
Check your corners.
Make sure
Yeah.
your daughter's not.
Or just like don't live in the middle of nowhere.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Spend
Live
your
in that urban
millions
center.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
What about you?
This is a hard question. I'm trying to think because I think the obvious answer is the garage door.
Yeah.
Like that is the iconic
guess we're
kill
obvious.
from
No, I'm
this
just kidding.
movie.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
not the first kill.
well, I mean, the whole scene
Yeah, that
is
scene.
iconic, but
The way she
the
died.
kill itself, maybe not. I
Yeah.
would say, for me, probably yeah, because I remember that image very vividly of her hanging from the tree with her guts hanging out.
Yeah.
It was very
so
affecting. Not one of the hornier parts of the movie, I should say. But yeah, all the other kills, it's just people getting stabbed. There's
Yeah.
not really a lot of
Yeah.
Like Henry Winkler's sad,
Creativity.
but it doesn't really have any impact.
I guess the cameraman getting his throat slit is pretty
It's
good.
pretty intense.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that because he gets his throat slit, and then there's also the extra stuff afterward where he's on the roof
The
of the
blood on the
van.
windshield.
The blood on the windshield is a great look.
So good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
So this is just this is a spree kill that they want to get Neve Campbell like they want her to be collateral because like Henry Winkler didn't necessarily do anything. The two Drew Barrymore and her boyfriend, they're not really related to the motivation of like revenge for the mom.
It's a spree kill, and they're gonna frame it on her dad.
Got it. Why would the dad kill Drew Barrymore and Steve, or the principal?
Yeah,
And then
who
wouldn't
knows?
somebody test the blood on Skeet Ulrich and realize
There's some
it's
logic.
syrup?
There's some logic.
there's
that's
a lot of
missing.
Let's not pick it apart. Sorry.
Yeah, the corn syrup part especially.
Yeah.
Well, but then he does get like actually stabbed, so never mind.
Maybe not. Okay.
Yeah, they do the real stabbings, but the fact that they do those before they finished killing everyone is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so strange.
Bad
Like
planning.
once that happens, once it's revealed that there's two killers, which is one of my favorite things about this movie, that
Yeah,
this
it's
movie
great.
has two killers.
Totally
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
It's I
Great
love
It's a
the
reveal.
shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like once they reveal that, then everything. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You were so smart this whole time.
Yeah.
And now you're like, let me argue with Courtney Cox at the door while
Right.
I
Yeah.
let everyone else escape. Like it makes zero sense.
They're
Yeah,
bad.
they do trip over their own dicks a little bit at the
Yeah.
end of the movie.
Ashley, what is your favorite kill?
My favorite kill, which is the first actual kill in the movie, and this is the most like anytime I think of this movie, I think of this image when the boyfriend on the porch.
Yeah.
It is a vivid image that anytime somebody mentions this movie, and it's not the kill specifically, but it's just him sitting
tied
in that
up.
chair with
Yeah.
his guts just like
Spilled
sitting on
out.
his lap.
Yeah.
That is like the picture in my head is just so
His guts
vivid.
sitting on his lap.
They're just like
Ugh.
And the
it's
letter
so
jacket
vivid in my
too.
and the letter
The
jacket.
letter jacket
Yeah.
is like I was sitting watching it. I was like, oh, this is so on the nose that he's wearing this letter jacket. But that's
Yeah.
why it's so.
This movie
Yeah.
It sticks with you.
And like
yeah.
and the way the swimming pool is in the background with like the fog and he's on that
Mhm.
porch chair, like seriously.
Yeah.
Spooky.
From the first time I ever saw this movie, that image has always been so like disgustingly vivid.
It's a good
That's
look.
how I feel about Drew Barrymore running in slow motion, and he's like hot on her heels, and then he like reaches around, and just the knife
Yeah.
comes and stabs her in the.
Oh my god, the moment where he's about to like kill her, he's on top of her, and she reaches up as she's dying and pulls the mask
Oh, I
off.
know.
And then the
it
camera
pans-
pans up to the knife before you can see the face.
Yeah.
So good.
It's good.
So good.
Any other favorite moments like that?
Yeah. God, we've talked about so many. There's so many good moments.
This
in
is I mean it's I think I tend to remember this as being like a comprehensive Wes Craven joint that he like wrote it as well, and so it was like a pleasant reminder. I feel
it's
like
Kevin Williamson.
and that is Kevin Williamson, and then that was like one of those things, and then for me at least feels like it started in the 90s because that's when I was the first aware of like media where you would see advertisements for other things based on previous
Right.
accolades, so they would say from the writer
the
of
guys
Scream.
that brought you.
Yeah.
When I was a huge Dawson's Creek person,
Of course.
so
Yeah.
that was fun for me to see this and like see the same style.
Was this before Dawson's Creek or during?
Might have been during.
Yeah, I think Dawson's Creek might have started in '96. No, this is too early. Dawson's Creek started in like '97 or '98.
98.
Okay.
So this is before that,
So this is probably
Yeah.
a career jumpstart for him.
Yeah,
as well.
I think for
Yeah.
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, it
I
was
had
good.
one other probably my favorite part in the movie, and in its entirety is when Jamie Kennedy points out the rules.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The rules are...
That's a very iconic part.
I love that. I
That's
love when he
probably
points
the
out the
most
rules.
iconic part of the movie.
Well, so let's talk about the rules, because like this thing is the thing for me, at least, having not seen the movies that it's lampooning when I saw it for the first time, cements those rules. So like, do you think people who are working in that genre for 20 years before this comes out, like, are kind of mindful of like those as tropes that they're sticking to? Or is it the sort of thing that like it just happened over and over and over again because everybody's working from the Halloween template and then it just became law?
That's an interesting question. I think it might be that everyone... So you have Black Christmas, which is pretty different. That was like one of the earliest slasher movies. It's before Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Then Halloween comes out. It apes a lot of stuff from Black Christmas, but just kind of like focuses it. It's like very specific and clean and efficient. And then after Halloween, it was a gold rush of just like repeating the template. So I don't think there was like if you took a film class in like 1988, there wasn't, you weren't even at the point where a professor would be like, this is what happens in a horror movie.
Right.
I wonder when the final girl trope, that's like the most famous academic horror trope. I wonder when that term was invented, because that would tell us a lot about like
how aware people were of this.
How aware people were of it.
I think Jamie Kennedy.
Do they use it in this? I don't think they do.
They don't say the term final girl.
They don't point it out.
But they definitely are aware of
They're operating on it.
that Nev Campbell is the final girl.
I would say we've sung the praises of a lot of other people in this movie, but Jamie Kennedy is very good, regardless of what he's done in the latter half of his career. Like, he's great in this. That scene is great. That scene in the video store is really great. I think that, again, he's like a stand-in for us as the audience watching it. He's like the sort of like knowledgeable audience member. So it is... he's great in it.
Yeah, he's excellent.
He gets kind of two big showpieces, and he knocks them both out of the park.
Sucks because then he had a career afterwards, and he was just terrible.
Didn't he do prank shows?
I owned his rap album. Okay,
Really?
I did. I'm not joking.
Jamie Kennedy has a rap album?
Jamie Kennedy and Stu Stone had a rap album. I can't remember what it was called, but I owned it on CD. It is on Spotify. I don't even know if it's on Spotify. I feel like I had to look it up on YouTube because I was literally explaining this to somebody the other day. Still remember a lot of the songs. They have a song called Rollin' with Bob Saget.
Is it comedy?
I remember that.
It's a comedy rap album.
Gross.
Yeah, insufferable.
Dude, I was really into that rap album, and I talked to somebody about this yesterday, and Dane Cook, when I was in middle school.
R.I.P. for your childhood.
Yeah, just in case y'all. I was also really into Green Day and exclusively wore My Chemical Romance t-shirts.
Hey, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you told us about Tumblr and stuff like that. Asymmetry on the hair.
That's the kind of
we
person I
put the
was
rest of it
growing up
together.
Let's rate this bad boy, shall
do it,
we?
yeah.
So we got to explain to you. I feel like I always botch this because I get
I'll take it.
really off the reservation. Please do.
So we do just a simple thumbs up, thumbs down. Did you like the movie or did you not like the movie? And then we do a scariness rating. 1 through 5, 1 being not scary at all, 5 being the scariest thing you've ever seen. And then the scale can be like, it can be whatever, it's not stars, it's like whatever you want it to be. So it's like the 5 things you would need to calm down after watching the movie. So for example, for Scream, we might do 5 relaxing wine tastings in Sonoma.
Or 5 Jiffy Pop
Popcorn.
bags made on the stove.
5 like sort of canvas colored rib necked
Sweaters.
sweaters with a turtleneck.
Cozy rib neck sweaters.
5 bob wigs.
But if you weren't scared of the movie, you would only need 1 of those.
Right.
So 1 through 5.
Cool.
I'll go. It's a big thumbs up for me. I remember, at the age I saw this, it's like when you're kind of like for the first time sort of shaping like your own like I guess like cultural identity, like stuff that you like that kind of like resonates with you, like not stuff that's like informed by like your siblings or like your parents or maybe your peers. So I loved it, and I was like, it's so smart. Like, even though I didn't get, for the most part, what it was talking about, but it's like, I really like it's sort of like, it's cultural subversive bent.
It sounded smart.
Yeah, exactly. And it's scary. I think it's just like it's just like a perfect, again, it's just like perfect bouillabaisse of a lot of different things. I would say it's not terribly scary, so I'm going to sort of like hedge my bets and just say 3 because that first sequence it's just kind of like perfectly executed, and then the tension is just like it's really well done. It's a really sort of sad ending. It could have been a short film. You know what I mean? Like in its own right. And so I'll give it a 3 for that. But this isn't the sort of movie that really sticks with me, I don't think. I remember it from a kind of like shot perspective, but it's not going to like
haunt you.
Yeah, make me look over my shoulder when I'm going to a car in an empty parking lot at night or something like that. Yeah.
Which you do often.
All the time. I'm always shopping at the mall when it's just closing with all these bags.
They're like, Steven, get out. We do this every week.
Yeah, I know. The worst. What about you, Emma?
I will give it a thumbs up. I liked it. It was funnier than I knew it was supposed to be funny and irreverent, but like I thought I wouldn't get past the scariness. It wasn't that scary for me today. But I have already spent years of my life being scared of this movie.
Yeah.
From what I was told. And I'm sure if I had seen it then, I would have died. But yeah, I mean, I would give it a 4. No. Yeah, I want to give it a 4 because of the way I've already been scared from it.
Yeah, that's a good...
But I think this time watching it was a 3. 3 glasses of rosé on my veranda. Because they all have verandas or patios.
They do all have huge patios. Thumbs up for me. You know I loved it. Have I ever given a movie a thumbs down on the show? I don't think I will. I don't anticipate ever doing it.
Oh, we'll find one.
Thumbs up, scariness rating, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5, which I would give it more, except I'm thinking back, like, I watched this when I was like 10 or 11, and it didn't stick with me at all even then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 2.
Cool.
I give it a thumbs up. Not just because I chose it. No, it's such a good movie, and this is the first time I've ever watched it as an adult. And it holds up so well in the sense that it feels to me like it's just so self-aware. Mm-hmm. It's so self-aware, and I love that so much.
In a good way.
Yeah, in a really good way. As far as scariness goes, I give it a 2 out of 5.
We've established what your upper threshold is. It's pretty high. So this 2 makes sense.
Even something like Funny Games is still like, that's maybe like a 3 or a 4.
Ashlee, what are you talking about?
I can handle scary.
Children get murdered in that.
This is a 2, but you don't see it. This is a 2.
True.
But the jump scares get me.
Totally.
And that's the only thing in this movie.
There's a lot.
It's jump scares.
What's a 5 for you? Or, I mean, you're like, the movie hasn't been made. Or a 4, maybe, then.
Ooh.
Strangers? Is it like something?
No, not even that. Okay. The idea of that movie scares me.
Yeah.
Just
you said sort of psychological stuff.
Psychological thriller. Get Out is a fucking 6. No, honestly, I don't know if I've seen a movie that like has genuinely terrified me.
This is how this guy is.
Left you
nope,
scared.
not true. The Exorcist.
Oh, fair. Yeah. All right.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't think I've seen a movie that that has scared me to the point where I'm like, I can't watch this or I can't watch this again. Because we were talking about Devil's Rejects, and even that, I walked out because it grossed me out.
Yeah, it's gross.
It wasn't scary. It was just gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I've seen anything that genuinely terrifies me.
All right. Well, you're
braver than I am.
Yeah.
We've established it.
You're the bravest person in the room. Max the cat might edge.
Max has looked me in the eye in a way that made me fear for my life a few times.
Cool. So, any parting thoughts?
I love this movie. We timed it. I can't believe we timed it so perfectly that we watched it right after the big 3.
It feels really well timed. I mean, I know that we've said it's come around before, and we've kind of pushed it off because we weren't ready for it. But this is Ashlee, perfect choice, perfect timing. if people want to get at you on Twitter or Instagram, how do people follow you online? Do you want to plug anything? Let us know.
I am crafts and arts on everything.
Cool.
But yeah, I don't want to plug it.
Good, don't. Let's skip it.
Like, I do things, but you don't need to know what I do.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, that's
None
great.
of
Stop
your
asking, you
business.
creeps.
Leave her alone.
Like,
Do
just,
you want to tell us what your car insurance provider is? And we just want to make a full circle.
you can look if you want to know more about me. Venmo me, and I'll send you a fun
Oh,
fact.
this I like this
Ooh,
approach.
that's-
On that hustle. I love it.
Look, just like Emma, I'm here to do homework and get paid. Okay.
I think for us, we are at We Are Deaf Afraid on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, like all of the places where you can basically get information.
.com.
And then of course, I think we're on every podcast platform that you could possibly subscribe to or download. We are definitely afraid of the
There
dark.
are probably ones we.
I bet there's some
are
good
not
ones.
on.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
We said no to SoundCloud because the surcharge is too high.
I ain't spend that $15 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't got that kind of money.
But as always, we encourage you to like and subscribe and rate us, particularly on iTunes, because that's supposed to help. If you like the podcast, please tell your friends.
And let us know. Get at
And
us.
if you don't like it, tell your enemies.
Oh,